You've probably wondered at some point whether your phone is actually limiting the money you can make online. Maybe you've heard that some apps are only on iPhone or that Android has more options, but what's actually true? Is iPhone better or is Android better? Or does it not matter at all? I've tested earning apps on both, and in this video I'll give you the honest answer. In case you don't know, my name is Mikael and I have tested hundreds of free earning apps over the years. Everything from surveys and get paid to apps to gaming apps, user testing, passive income apps, mining apps and more. And one question I keep getting is, should I use an iPhone or an Android phone to earn more? So in this video I'm going to break it all down. We're going to look at app availability of iPhones versus Android. We're going to look at passive earning differences, scam risks, payout options, and most importantly, whether it's actually worth switching phones just to earn more online. So let's get into it. But let's first focus now here on the availability of surveys, and to be honest, there's not a huge difference because survey apps in general they don't require like special tracking or something like that. So there's not a huge difference between the survey apps or the surveys available whether you have an Android or an iOS. How many surveys are available or survey apps, that depends more on the country you live in and your general profile. When it comes to the availability of games or user testing, then usually you have to choose a device when you sign up. You can also choose several, and the exact offers that are available will depend on this, but which exact projects, for example, when it comes to user testing that will come up, that's impossible to predict. So it's not something you can plan for. It all just depends on what you happen to have and what projects happen to come up at that particular time or in the future. You don't know. So from what I've seen, it doesn't really matter too much there also. When it comes to passive earning apps, like for example data sharing, then Android usually allow more and iOS are stricter, so many of these passive earning apps where you can just install them and share your unused internet bandwidth in the background, they are more rare on iOS or iPhones. So overall, iOS is stricter and therefore sometimes give fewer opportunities, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, which brings us to the next thing to consider when we're talking about Android versus iPhone or iOS for earning. Next, let's talk about scams, because when you want to earn online, there are unfortunately still a lot of scams. And as mentioned, iOS is stricter, so that also means in general you will find fewer scam apps on iOS devices or in the App Store. I have tested many and seen many scam apps for Android. And I also have videos about many of them here if I've come across some where I can see that it's a clear scam. Then I have shared my test and my warning against it. And honestly, I'm not sure why they allow some very obvious scam apps that are not intending to pay you in the Google Play Store. I'm not sure, but unfortunately sometimes you can find them there, and that's a shame. That's just something to be aware of. I'm not saying that you can never find it on an iOS device or for an iOS device. Of course you can, but I've just seen more for Android devices. Also, one thing, if you just go directly to Google Play Store, one big red flag in general is that sometimes they have earning apps, or Google Play Store allows you to put as a developer an app in early access, and all earning apps I have seen that uses this, they are actually scams. I've never seen a legit earning app being in early access. The thing about early access is that means people can't leave reviews, but I've seen some scam apps being in early access for months or even for more than a year, and that means people can just keep joining because they can't see any negative reviews about it, and then they can't see feedback, so they just go there and it sounds great, it looks great, and then they find out they just waste time, sometimes even money. So that's just one thing to be aware of. Just a quick little tip about how to spot something to definitely be careful of. If it's a free earning app that's in early access, definitely do a lot more research before you invest any time or money before you install it. Also, one thing to consider when we're talking about iOS and Android and scams, and Android also allow APK, so that means that you can manually install apps. And some earning apps do offer this, where they do not scam you and where that's just how they have it, where you need to install it that way to be able to earn, but this is something to be extremely careful about, because then there is no check from Google Play Store or anything like that. It's just a file you get and you have no idea what you are installing. So if you are installing an APK on your Android phone, you really need to trust the company behind before doing this. But overall, I would say personally, I have learned a lot with Android apps, because there are more apps, but you also just have to be a bit more careful of scams and not just blindly trust the apps there. But also for iOS devices, don't just blindly trust any earning apps. Always be critical about it and the earning claims and all these things. I do have a list on my website also where I talk more about the different scams where you have to be aware on service sites, and that's something you can use on all free earning platforms. I'll leave a link to that below, so if you want to know more about the scam signs, then you can check that out. So let's now talk about payout options. Are there better payout options when you are on an Android phone or an iOS phone? And honestly, from what I have seen and tested, there's not really any difference here, because the payout options usually do not depend on your device. This is something that depends on the country you live in. When you sign up for an earning app, on earning website, they will have certain payout options depending on your country, but it will be the same payout options whether you are logging in on a phone or a computer, or whether it's an iOS or an Android phone. So when it comes to payout options, there's really no difference. Let's sum it all up and look into whether you should use an iPhone or an Android phone when earning online to get the best results. And honestly, neither is universally better, because the phone you already own is almost always the right phone. You probably have some preferences for iPhone or iOS, and feel free to share which phone you prefer and why in the comments below. I would love to hear that. But when it comes to earning online, I can say that you should not switch to a new ecosystem, new type of phone just because of earning apps. That would just not be profitable. So if you have an Android phone, then use that to earn. If you then at some point want an iOS phone, then get an iOS phone because you want that phone, not because you can earn more, because it really doesn't make much sense. And to get a new phone just for that, the amount of money you would need to spend just to get a new phone, that would be very hard to make back. It will take a very long time. So I would say that even though there are some differences, that as I explained here, definitely some things you need to consider, then there's not enough justification to say that you should invest in a new phone to earn more, because that just doesn't make sense. Both iOS and Android phones can be great for free earning apps. And if you want to see some of my favorite apps for both iOS and Android, then I do have a list of my top recommended options for both on my website. I'll leave links to that below so you can go there and check that out. And also, if this video helped you, it'd be great if you could just take 1 second to like this video here, and also don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out next time I release a video with tips and tricks about different ways to make money online.